Beets are an amazing food that I work to eat every single season. Today I'm going to be making the entire beet and show you how to maximize the entire vegetable, as well as talk about how each and every part of the vegetable is energetically good for you. So beets are an amazing food, and they really help to eliminate unneeded fluids and waste from your kidneys and your bladder. I also think it's really important to maximize the entire ingredients, so starting from the root all the way to the stems, especially if they're edible. So I often joke that beets are basically like a blood transfusion because they are excellent blood cleansers, blood nourishers, and blood builders. Especially if you're a vegan and plant-based, it's really important that you incorporate beets in your diet, so then that way you build blood, because as women, we lose blood and we need to nourish it back and replenish it. Every part of the vegetable has a different energetic property. So if you're eating the roots are really good for grounding and centering your body and your internal organs. So think about your root chakra. It nourishes the roots and makes you feel very centered and very grounded. Now the stalks, as they grow upward, they bring energy upward and outward in your body. So they're really good at expansive energy. And then once you get to leaves and flowers, these take it even further and actually nourish your head, your arms, your hands, and your feet. It's actually really cool when you think about eating vegetables that way, because it makes you appreciate every single part of the vegetable, and it also encourages you to eat more parts of the vegetable as well. So I'm just going to start by cutting off every part of these vegetables. So separating gingerly the leaves from the stems and the roots. The one thing about beet leaves is that they're extremely dirty. So I am just separating them first because I'm going to submerge them under water and make sure they get really, really clean. And I'm saving these stalks because I may want to do something else with them. So now that I've separated the root from the leaf and the stem, first thing I'm going to do is wash the beets because I'm going to immediately roast them. So I like to wash them under cold water, and since they're a root vegetable, it's really important to make sure that they're clean because I'm not going to be peeling the skin, but I am going to be using my tawashi. And if you've never used a tawashi, it's a Japanese brush that is really good for scrubbing fruits and vegetables, and at the same time what it does is it actually activates the skin of the vegetables, sort of like dry brushing, and it gets them really clean. It's perfect to use, and they're actually not that expensive at all. This one must have been $2. So now I'm just going to chop off the tops and the bottom, and so that way it lays pretty flat. I want them to lay flat and upright. I have the oven going at 400 degrees, which is my go-to roasting temperature. And now what I'm going to do is just salt and pepper. I'm going to salt and pepper each of them just to infuse that flavor, and then coat it with a little bit of olive oil. Just drizzle on the olive oil just to get that nice healthy fat on there. And then just salt and pepper. Good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this tent with the foil. I want it to steam, but I don't want it to be too tight. That's a nice little tent. So I would say with all of these, I would put them in for about an hour, but I'm going to check on them in about 30 minutes. So take a look at these beautiful beets. They are totally cooked through, they're al dente, they're not too soft. So now I'm just gonna let them cool on the side for a sec, and I'm gonna work on the beet greens. So I've already washed and dried as best as possible these beet greens, and it's really important to make sure you clean every single part of the beet green because it is really dirty. But what I wanna do right now is just chop them up into big chunks. So I'm just going to fold them like so, and then just start to chop them into ribbons, and then turn them around, put them together, and then chop them again. So you have like little nice bite-sized pieces. and just throw it in there. There really is no formal way. I just kind of like how these look. So all of my beet greens are chopped. Now I have half of an onion that I just want to make into a really thin sauté slice. Now I'm just going to zest an orange. And I want a good couple tablespoons. This is just for topping it off at the very end. It gives it that nice little citrus kick. That looks like enough zest. And I'm just going to chop this and then just squeeze it. Now I'm just going to get about half of an orange juice. That looks like a good amount. Now that my beets are cool to the touch, I want to very gently peel off the skin with paper towels. And I don't have gloves to do this, and I normally do have gloves, but I'm just going to use some paper towels. If you have a kitchen towel you want to use, even better. But you see how really easily the skin just comes off. That's exactly what you want to happen. So the beets are peeled. We're ready to rock and roll. So let's get started on the beet greens. So my sauté pan is heating on a medium heat. I'm going to start by putting about a tablespoon of olive oil in there, and I want to start with the onions first. And this is just to get them nice and caramelized. So throw in the onions, and then I'm going to add a pinch of salt to season. Just let that go. In the meantime, I'm going to chop the beets, and because I don't have gloves on, I have to be very careful. So what I want to do is take the first beet, just slice it down the middle. I want to do this in cubes, so I'm just going to slice as much as possible, and then just do nice healthy cubes, and that's pretty much it. My fingers are getting so red. It's like the amazing thing about beets, but also the devastating thing about beets as well. So my onions are almost melted and caramelizing pretty nicely. They're becoming more translucent, which is what I want. Now I'm gonna throw in the beet greens a little at a time because I want them to kind of wilt as they go down. And they're gonna wilt quite a bit. I love to season as I go, so I just add in a little bit more salt. Now I'm going to add in a little bit more because they're wilting pretty nicely. The onions are turning a little bit purple because of the beet stems. They've wilted down very nicely, so now what I'm going to do is add about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. So I'm just going to do a couple capfuls. This is to brighten up the flavor, just a little bit. And just mix that around. Now I'm going to add in about half of the orange juice, and then the other half I'm going to throw in with the beets. Okay. Salt these beets nicely. Throw some olive oil on here. So it's pretty liquid in here, so I'm going to turn the heat up higher to evaporate the liquid and cook this off much faster. So this is almost done. I'm just going to add in a kick of spice. So I'm going to add in some red pepper flakes and mix that all together. So I'm just going to take the beet greens and just plop it right in the center of the pan. And I love the way it looks with the onions. It just looks so pretty and feminine. So I've just added in the orange zest to give it that nice zesty flavor. And then I'm just going to top it off with some more of the orange juice. And fold that in. Now I'm going to top off, just pour over the beets as much as possible. And just top it off together. This is so pretty and such a delicious dish. I'm going to finish it off with some black pepper. And there you have it. I'm going to taste one and see how. Ooh, that was so good. The beet greens are cooked so well together with the onions and the beets. It's that pop of sweetness with that hearty vegetable flavor. Oh, it's so good and so lush. This is a perfect example of how you can take one vegetable and make something completely amazing. So hopefully you found this to be really informative. If you liked the video, please press like and subscribe to my channel. Take care and be well. Bye.